Hey, Don.
Hello, Robin. Maybe before we do that, maybe take our participants and maybe talk a little bit about what's going on at their various schools. Who would like to volunteer and start? Oh, Robin, can you take everybody off mute?
They can unmute themselves. They're all listed as panelists, so they have full control over what they're doing.
Okay.
Sorry about the delay. We were prep schooling just a moment ago, and then I'm alone in my store. So
Oh.
how things are going? Let's see. We have students on campus. We are open. We have some plexi up and sanitizing in our little please wait here circles that nobody believes in. And sales, of course, are down because we don't have any holidays or events on campus. And since this is managerial concerns and questions, my biggest one is going to be year end, because we have been, at least my boss has been telling me, we understand we'll be operating at a loss this year, but I'm waiting to see what actually happens when the figures are finalized. How about you, Mary?
Well, I'm open Tuesday through Thursday on campus. We cut our hours down drastically, so I'm only there Tuesdays through Thursday. I work from home on Mondays and Fridays. Just working really hard to get my new e-commerce site up and running. So it's been a little difficult. One of the things I'm working on with my boss is trying to get it so that I can send out communications myself through either Constant Contact or MailChimp, and then be able to have our own campus store Facebook and Instagram account. Because right now, in order to send anything out through our communications department, we have to give them 2 weeks notice and all that stuff, even before we can even, I guess it takes them 2 weeks to put up a Facebook post. So I'm not quite sure why or how, why that takes so long, but whatever. So yeah, I just did a Halloween sale. It ends today on our website. Didn't get too many orders, kind of disappointed in that. I think if I had been able to promote it on Facebook or some other ways, it might have done better, but so be it. I mean, my hands are tied in that respect. But other than that, just plugging along like everybody else, just trying to figure out what the best way to do things is. I mean, as I said, we are open, but when I'm open, I'm lucky if I see 3 students, 4 students all week, maybe, if that. So it is what it is, as they say. I hate that, but it is true. So it's kind of where I'm at. Robin, unmute yourself.
Yes, I just realized. How about you, Gail?
So currently we're a very small staff of 4 full-time staff members because of the hiring freeze. We had 2 open positions prior to the hiring freeze. So we are doing 2 separate work groups. We have a work group that works Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And we have another work group that works Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The 2 individuals working the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, of course, have work from home remote the other hours of the week, let's say, to accumulate their 40. It's been fairly successful. We're a limited capacity of 14 people in the store. The reason why we did the 2 different work groups, of course, is just to make sure that we didn't have any possibility of the entire store staff going down in one fell swoop. We had a couple of on-call join us for rush. Rush rush. So that was fine. We did counter service for textbooks this year. That actually worked out really well. We're trying to be creative with working with other groups on campus. We did a virtual Back to Bates weekend where we did a care package. We did a bunch of promotions tied in with, with those folks. Yeah, we're just chugging along. We're chugging along. We're going to try to hype up our marketing campaigns for November, December to try to get some additional sales. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay. How about you, Sammy?
Hi, guys. So at Morrisville, we are open regular hours right now. It looks much different traffic-wise because we don't have anything to draw people into the store at this point. Things are much different even besides COVID, though. We had 4 people take the retirement incentive over the summer. We replaced 1, and with that, we also made the jump to virtual textbooks as well. So we no longer do textbooks in-house. So just a lot of transition. I would say morale is an issue right now, just with so many changes and everybody trying to adjust alongside everything with COVID. And with SUNY, the last 2 weeks of instruction are virtual. So we have students leaving on the 20th for the semester.
Yes, we do too. What did you do with your textbook space?
Right now, it is still set up for textbook packages, but we certainly don't need all the space for that. But since it is, we did counter service, so it's not, we can't set that up for general merchandise or apparel or anything like that because it's kind of an office space location.
Okay. Helena?
Yeah, so we were reduced from 4 to 2 staff. Last summer, we had acquired our printing press and moved that into our previous textbook space. So I am now doing the printing with no training. So YouTube has been my best friend. So I think it's actually going all right. We have split our hours so that we only overlap for 1 hour a day. So I work from home in the afternoons and then go back in for closing shifts some nights. So the same as you, we don't all get taken out at once. So far, so good. Yeah, so just kind of adjusting like all the rest of you to added responsibilities with less time available. But we also have our regular hours with student help and very slow like everyone else. Our new website has been generating quite a bit of traffic over all of this, which has been great. We got that set up right before we lost our other 2. So luckily our marketing person was able to help finish some of that. But yeah, so that's kind of our state right now.
Jody?
So you'll actually see there's a whole bunch of us from Cornell on here. Jim had shared the invite with us. We have more than our campus store. We also have 2 of our branch stores reopened after the shutdown. So our main campus store, we're only operating 5 days a week, and we reduced the hours 1 hour in either direction. So we used to be 8 to 6, and now we're 9 to 5. And yeah, our traffic is considerably down. I looked at last week, and a normal day last year was like 2,200 people coming through the store, and this year it's like 700. So, Cornell has asked that as many people stay remote as possible. So they are, so they're not coming in here. And we also have no visitors allowed. So that's why we don't have Saturday hours now. But then our branch stores that are off campus obviously can then take care of those customers. So I can let Katie talk about that though, so that I'm not stealing everybody's words here.
So this is my first time here. Hi. So yeah, I'm usually at our downtown Ithaca store and our Shops at Ithaca Mall store. As Jody said, we've actually been quite busy in our downtown store, handling all the people that can't visit campus. And we're trying to, I think within the week, we'll be opening up our mall store to 7 days and crossing our fingers as we go into our month-long Black Friday sales that we're doing at all the locations. And we're not doing the hours that the mall would like us to do. We're just sticking to core hours. Both our downtown Ithaca store and the mall store close for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes mid-afternoon each day, so everyone can take their break together, so we can have enough people on the floor to be, greeting people and telling them about all our restrictions, et cetera, and then doing some midday cleaning. We just started doing a bunch of decorating. We're hoping that we can woo people in the store with some traditional, just sort of, lights and trees. And we're using Home for the Holidays as our catchphrase to try to, encourage people to come back into the store and to make our displays as pretty as possible. So they're encouraged to buy and just kind of emphasize that tradition and comfort. And then I guess, I don't know, the holidays, we'll just be watching payroll really, really carefully. And who knows what 2021 will bring. Fingers crossed.
Melissa, are you also Cornell? Did you have anything to add? Oh, yes.
Yeah, we have our bear promo coming up as well, which is a really cute little teddy bear with a $125 purchase. So hopefully that'll get, people in and excited to shop. And for back to school, we went online, ordering online textbooks only. So students got their books online and then just did an order pickup. They didn't come in and, shop through the aisles or anything like that. We do have our student employees and most of our full-time frontline staff back along with our part-time staff. So it's, quiet. Traffic is down, as everybody's mentioned, but we're making the most of it right now.
Mr. Jim? Oh, Mr. Jim's muted.
To add on to everybody else, I'm glad we were able to get some other folks besides myself from Cornell on here. So glad to see the rest of the team. We're doing a pretty intense marketing to our full customer base throughout the month of November and December. Not just as I think Katie might have mentioned, we're doing like a month-long Black Friday. And so we're adding new products to our Black Friday promotions each week to hopefully try to keep people coming back throughout the month for repeat purchases as well. In addition to just the Black Friday promotions through the month, we're going to do also some other brand features. We've got one with Under Armour coming up. We just finished one with Champion. We've been trying to highlight some local vendors as well. We're going to be working on one with Finger Lake Soap Company, which is a local vendor here to us, and they provide some skincare products, soaps. They even do some household cleaners as well. So just trying to highlight some of the local vendors so we can throw some business their way as well, because a lot of them are struggling in our area because, New York's had the big lockdown. So we've seen a lot less tourists in the area as well throughout the summer. So just trying to help out some of those local ones. We just finished a promotion with Copper Horse Coffee, which is a local coffee maker. And we paired that with a 25% off, like our ceramic mugs and drinkware, to go in combo with that, in combination with that. But like I said, very intense marketing. As Melissa mentioned, we're not seeing a whole lot of traffic in our main store. There's been good traffic in our common store because they're getting all of the visitors that are coming to Ithaca, including parents, because parents weren't even included, were able to shop in the main store. So we're hoping to see some decent numbers. And as Melissa mentioned, we're starting our holiday bear promotion this Thursday, and that's what you get your free bear with a $125 purchase, and that's one of our biggest promotions throughout the year. We sell them too at $19.99. They've become sort of a collector's item, and because we date them year to year too. So this is him. This is James. This is James. We name him after past presidents, and 2020 just happens to be named James. So we're pushing him starting this Thursday, and hopefully we can go through 1,500 of them.
There you go. How about Charlie?
I am down from 10 people to 4. I've closed 1 store. We're not going to open that up for the spring either. We just literally today started, we reduced our hours from 10 to 4. And it may go further. We might be open less because they have asked as many people to work remotely. If they can work it, do it. The 4 of us that are here, we're still doing 2 floors, so we're kind of separated. So we're trying really hard not to hang out with each other too much. We still have students coming in. We still have students buying textbooks, which is really weird. But they didn't get them during the regular portion. They're coming in now. I'm like, okay, let's just go ahead and get them. We'll be moving. We'll be still doing the same thing this fall or spring. Ordering online. We did very much on our internet sales for textbooks this past fall, but we're going to move the location so that they are going to be warm, because we had it curbside. It really was outside basically, so we want to keep them inside, but have the second floor open so we can get those customers to walk in. So that's about it. So going here.
How about Brendan? We can't hear you, Brendan. I know you turned your mute off. Oh, just barely. All right, how about if we move on to Cindy? Let's see if Brendan can reconnect.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep, okay. Yeah, we were in a Smith union, like the student union. And so when we opened for the fall rush, our store could not open because we were in orange, because when they first came on campus, we weren't allowed to open. So we took all of our folks and we did a lot online, and then we partnered with our mail center. So half of us worked in the mail center, and the rest of us worked remotely and then on web orders. We have our textbooks are online. We only had the first year class here on campus, so that's all we have. The store, the upperclassmen are all studying remotely. And even the students that are on campus are also studying remotely too in their rooms. They do have a few in-person classes in tents outside, but of course it's getting cold now, so things are changing. In our union, we have a pub and we have a C-store and we also have a cafe, but all of those have been closed until like 2 weeks ago. They just opened the cafe, and the cafe is across from the bookstore, which has been great for us. So we were able to, once we started opening, we were able to increase our hours. So we're open 8:30 to 4:30 now, 5 days a week. And it's really helped us a lot to have somebody else in the building besides us, and then the package pickup downstairs. So, but we've been doing a lot of web orders, a lot of promotions. Thank goodness for websites. That's all I can say. And we're only allowed to have 5 people in the store at a time. And again, like everyone else said, the traffic is pretty slow. We do have some people, like I said, coming in from the cafe. For homecoming and for family weekend and all the big events, we tried to partner with everyone on campus to do some online virtual things. And some of them were pretty successful, but nothing like having the in-store people. We are also closed to the public, so we have nobody from on campus, can't come on our campus either. So it's been a little different. So we also partnered with all the departments on campus to try to get packages out to, like for physics and for all the art supply kits and things. We had to try to help them ship everything to international students, and trying to get all the addresses and everything for people was tough. You know, when you try to get them all together and then somebody moves from one area to the next. So, but that was really nice. I mean, we got to know the departments really well, and they got to understand a lot of what we do too. So, and along with the mail center as well. So that's kind of where we are. And our students will be leaving on the 20th. Actually, they move out on the 21st of November. They won't be back until February. So we'll be doing a lot more on our website, kick off all of our holiday promotions. So that's it.
Alrighty, Brendan, are you?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. I don't think I have a lot more to add to what everyone else has already said. I think we all share the same concerns about staffing. We have a couple folks that are on long-term personal leave to care for family members that are vulnerable. So we haven't been able to fill those positions. You know, we're worried about this kind of 8-week gap that's going to be happening when we'll still sort of be working, but most of our folks can't work from home. There's just not a way for them to do their jobs without being on campus. You know, I think there's concern again about kind of the financial picture of the bookstore. We've been assured, well, you know, we understand why you're not making money or why you're losing money, I guess would be the better way to say it. But how far that understanding goes is still a mystery. And just like everybody else, we're working very hard on promotions to drive traffic to our website and into the stores where we are open, to just sell as much as we can.
And then Sandy and Brianna.
So Deerfield is open for in-person visits. We're a small store, so we can only have about 4 or 5 students in the store at a time. Even with that though, we're seeing traffic in, you know, an average of 35, 40 students a day. These are high schoolers, so they travel in packs. So some of it is more entertainment than need. But also because we have a couple of snack bars on campus that are closed, there's been a lot of interest in candy from these young whippersnappers. One of the, you know, management concerns that I have is the communication. I mean, communication's never been terrific to begin with, I would say. I mean, we all try, but it's always been lacking. And I would say during COVID times, communication has been so critical.
Who are you communicating to or from, or?
Administration communicating to us, and then us trickling down to staff as well, which all of it leads to morale concerns. I mean, nobody knows what's happening, and I understand that, you know, administration can only share so much, but the store often gets overlooked in communications or assumed to know things that it's like, oh, that would have been good to know. And it's always been like that. It's just even more concerning in the days of COVID, when, you know, the whole preparation for COVID. How do you set up your store? What do you do for sanitizing? None of that was communicated to us, I think, because nobody had the answers. So it was a matter of us figuring it out on our own. And so I've tried to share as much with my staff as I can, just so that they feel like at least somebody's trying to communicate with them. And I think that helps a little bit. But there's a lot of anxiety going on everywhere. We have enough anxiety in our lives. I don't think that if we can help it, we should add to it. So as far as our promotions go, we moved a ton of our merchandise online over the summer. Brianna and I were putting, you know, every notebook and personal care item we could up there, knowing that the students were going to be quarantined when they arrived. And we had the ability to do dorm deliveries to the students, which actually made a big difference for us at the outset. We have 650 students, which is a fairly small for most of you guys, but for a high school, it's not. A prep school, it's not that small. And most of our students arrived. We only had about 25 at the outset that were doing remote. So we have a lot of kids on campus. They would like to come to the store, but we have limited hours because we don't have the staffing to do what we need to do. We have 2 stores. We had to close one of them because we don't have the staffing to do what we need to do. So we're doing what we can. Our sales are going to be way down for the year as they were for last year. And we do have the support of the administration and understanding that times are different. But none of us knows what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months. So it's hard operating in that kind of a scenario.
Yes, so true. Communication isn't great on this level either. My boss sits on the COVID committee, and I was like, so what's going to happen when the students go home? Is the building going to be locked? Can I open by appointment? Can I be open? And he's like, never even thought about it. Like,
Exactly.
come on, guy.
Think about it.
Come on. So yes.
We were completely overlooked by the consultants that they brought in to evaluate every space on campus to figure out what should be done signage wise, cleaning wise, all of those things, until I finally said, what about the stores? Oh, we forgot about there's 2 stores. Oh yes, we should probably do some things there. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I fell in that same crack when my signage. It's like, you know, I need a maximum occupancy sign, and then I had to make my own because it was like, oh yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. So any other concerns? Do we think we're going to get people back if we reopen again? Or do we think we're seeing permanent cuts in budgeting? Or do we haven't even gotten that far yet?
I think it's gonna go that we'll need them for rush if we have a rush, and then it'll go back to until there's a vaccine and anything goes back to travel restrictions are lifted and all of that. It'll go back to lay them off until fall season. I don't see much of a change through this year. And possibly a lot more working remotely too, because it's a lot less on the expenses through the college. We don't have to pay for as much heating, electricity, all of that. And so I think that they might take advantage of that.
Yes, we had a presidential town hall last week, and he was urging more people to work from home so they wouldn't have the custodial staff as occupied. They don't have to clean the buildings as frequently. So yeah.
I think we're going to see a push towards getting people out of like job specific silos. Like you're not going to have a textbook staff necessarily. You're going to have a group of people that can flux back and forth depending on the time of year. So as we lose people to retirements or can't fill positions, everyone else is going to have to inevitably pick up the slack anyway. So if we have a better group of people that are trained in more competencies across the store's operations, it'll allow us to kind of weather some of those ups and downs in business.
Have you done any planning towards that, Brendan, or is that just something that you've thought of recently that might happen?
No. I mean, we were already making steps in that direction. You know, post Jay's retirement, as we started reorganizing things, and a lot of that kind of got put on hold. We were literally like 2 days away from offering a job to somebody to be kind of our e-commerce coordinator that would work both with the GM side of the house as well as the textbook side of the house. And so that got put on hold, but that person was going to kind of spearhead a team of people. Because regardless of whether you're selling a textbook or a sweatshirt, some of the mechanics behind, you know, selling stuff online and processing the orders and shipping the orders is the same. So we were already sort of moving in that direction. I think this eventually will accelerate that path, though, out of necessity.
Yeah, Brendan, and I agree with you. We started in that direction a little while ago, with putting, because most of you know I was the general merchandise manager and just focusing on general merchandise, but now I have technology and course materials and every product that we sell through the store that rolls up to me in order to try to break down those silos in between the individual buying teams or inventory management teams. In some areas, we've succeeded with, you know, some cross training and whatnot in the different areas, but we still have a long ways to go in order to do that. So.
Yeah, and I think part of it is, you know, people that have been here a while, they're sort of entrenched in a certain way of doing things. So it might take some staff turnover to get a group of people that are more flexible, more open to trying different things and getting outside their comfort zones. And at a certain point, there's just people that you're like, whatever, they're a year away from retirement. We're not going to, you know, force this on them or push them too hard on this. We'll just kind of wait this one out and start fresh with somebody else.
Are you cross training between your multiple stores, either Brendan or Jim?
Yes.
I think Katie's our branch store manager. She's rotating staff around quite often between the branch stores, especially.
Yeah, we've shifted because of our convenience store was closed till the students came back in August. Those folks worked down on Church Street at the store down there, or they worked in the textbook department as well, where we had some more demonstrated needs. And that's what's going to happen again after the students leave in November. They're going to shift back to working downtown because it's fully open to anybody that wants to come in. And that's, like Jim was saying, we're seeing a lot of business in that store because people can't make it to the campus store.
Yeah. Katie, do you see an increase or a decrease or so in morale with this people moving from store to store?
I think for the most part, people like it. They get to meet a whole new group of people. It's actually worked out really well for my team. I've also been dragging my Commons, my downtown Ithaca store lead up to our main campus store to help with some merchandising and rearranging. And we've been having a lot of fun. So it's, you know, people are going back and forth. And so especially in the slower times, it keeps people from getting too bored, and it just gives them a whole bunch of, you know, it's a whole new opportunity for them. So that's how we're looking at it. So it's actually been a good experience for us.
That's good.
For us on a pragmatic level too, it's sort of, I think a lot of people realize it's job security. It's something to do.
Exactly.
They'd rather be doing something than
the
nothing.
more flexible you can be.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that. It makes you a little bit more useful.
Are there certain things that you guys are having your staff do from home? It seemed like we had a number of things that we could do when we were launching our website. I feel like I have plenty of things to do, but others may not in the next couple of months. So just wondering if there's things you guys are having people focus on from home.
I know from the you know, the beginning of the pandemic, we've got Salesforce staff that really, they have to be kind of in the store to do their positions, but we were able to do a lot of catch up on a lot of training. The university always has a lot of training for us to do, and do some of our own individual training as well. And then we transitioned some of those Salesforce staff over to our customer care department to kind of help with any customer issues, any online store issues. I think even some moved over to our warehouse to help backfill our order fulfillment staff also. So there was, I mean, this pandemic has really forced us to really spend the time in cross-training our staff and in different areas. So
I worked on updating my procedures and policies manual, which really needed to be done. And I did some of my web enhancements, so increased descriptions, added size ranges and stuff. So like the photos I couldn't do, and adding the merchandise because I needed to be in the store for that, but increasing information that was already there, I was able to do.
We dusted off a lot of those if we only had enough time projects that every one of us seems to have. So we did a lot of back of the house overhauls of our department class category setups. We rearranged where products lived in our system, got a lot more specific to help get us some better data as we're pulling reports. The website got an overhaul in terms of where the products lived on the different catalogs and how we broke those out as well too. The hardest was for our baristas in the cafe. There really was nothing they could do by and large from home. But one of our baristas actually created a whole series of training videos for our work study student employees as well. So there's more consistency when they're making drinks and learning all the different steps of what's involved in running a cafe as well too. So there were different things that could be done. It wasn't enough to keep people busy full time. We quickly ran out of projects in some areas. So the concern is if we do this again, what's the next round of that look like?
Any other questions for anybody? Well, turn on your mic, Don.
What are the schools telling you about future enrollments? I know I was reading some stats the other day that enrollment nationwide is down about 4%. What are they saying is going to happen with enrollment in spring and fall? Do they see students coming back, which will give you obviously more opportunities to sell, or do they think that some of these enrollment shifts are permanent? And if so, you know, how might you cope with that at your institution?
I think when it comes to enrollment, Cornell hasn't had a real major issue. I know this past fall, if students had made it into Cornell and they were accepted and they decided to defer for a year, Cornell has always had pretty significant like wait lists, I guess, that they just started pulling students from. So I don't think that, I know for other schools, enrollment's been an issue. My mom works at Ithaca College and she's like in the bursar and registrar office. And I know they're very reliant on, you know, their students, and they don't really have that, that wait list to pull from. So their enrollment in general has been down.
A majority of our grad program, not a majority, about half of our grad program is international. And of course, many of them deferred to spring because they couldn't get visas. The embassies hadn't opened in time. So everyone's hoping that that will be open and they'll be able to start in the spring, but we'll see what happens. They did push back our early acceptance dates. I gave them an extra 2 weeks, I think it was, because there was an issue on the national level with one of the applications. But at this point, we're not hearing much. But we had a little bit smaller enrollment this year with people studying from home, I should say, online, which was fine with them because it allowed them to space them out in the dorms more. But we'll see what happens come the fall, well, spring for fall admittance.
Our early enrollment deadline, I think, was actually yesterday. So we should have a sense of numbers, early numbers soon. You know, we just passed our 100,000th COVID test that we've conducted on campus with a positivity rate of 0.001. So the university is sort of playing itself up as a safe place to learn. So they're actually thinking they can parlay some of the safety procedures that we put in place into increased enrollment for next year, assuming this continues on. We were down about 400 and some odd students, mostly out-of-state students. which pay double the tuition of in-state students. So while it's not a huge number in the grand scheme of things, that was still about a $23 million kind of swing when it was all said and done. So the academic units are looking to, I think they have to cut another like $9 million from their budgets over the next year. But admissions has already ramped up what they're doing. Usually we pull a lot of students from in-person visits, and we can't do that anymore too. So they've come up with a lot of new ways to kind of share our story through video, through one-on-one chats, and kind of a mentor program with existing students, and lots of different kind of cool things besides in-person visits. So I think the university's cautiously optimistic that things will stay stable or get a little better next year if we continue on with kind of the success we've had with COVID on campus.
How are people thinking about inventory, year-end inventory for next year? I know our year-end is going to split. Well, that's not right. Our year-end will be in May, but our semester won't end until the end of June. So that is going to look interesting financially as well as everything else. Is anyone else facing that?
For Deerfield, we usually do inventory after the students leave and after we've had our reunions in June. This year, the plan is graduation, Memorial Day weekend, and then 3 reunions in June. Hopefully. I'm very skeptical of that, but that really limits our ability to complete inventory by the end of June.
Do they have a date? Would you be stocking up to supply 3 reunions, or?
Well, we do still have plenty of stock from not having reunions last year. But yeah, we will need to stock up a lot of things that we sell during the year.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. They have announced the reunions dates. It's all a question of where are we in June.
From Cornell's side, we don't have a date to do an actual physical inventory. We typically do it in May or April, one of those two. April during spring break, so when students are off campus. We're hoping to do something during the really slow months, like January, when there's no students here, and it'll be, who knows, like 20 below in Ithaca, but we were hoping to do it then, and we normally use Regis, an outside company, but we don't think we're going to be able to have them on campus still. So we're leaning towards doing more cycle counts by category, like the big, especially the big money ones like technology, textbooks if we have them in store still. Those really big ones. So we're just, we're on the NetSuite system and we have that capability. We just haven't utilized the cycle counts yet. So that'll take some exploration on our part to really figure that out.
One of the comments I heard earlier is people talking about communication on campus with the administration. Is there anybody that's come up with any kind of a unique solution to reach out to the administration to make sure that you are, staying in the loop and getting that essential communication? Just maybe kind of a brainstorming kind of a question.
I think we've just tried to stay ahead of it because a lot of the communication we're receiving is coming too late in the game to do any type of planning for something. So we've tried to come up with different scenarios, especially when we were talking about reopening the stores. It was like a worst, best, and better scenario, and just depending on what the university told us, because a lot of the time they release this information a week before something's going to happen, and it doesn't give anybody enough time to turn things around. for example, like right now, we're going back and forth with the registrar's office because they don't want to give us the course list yet. Well, we need the course list for textbooks to send out requests for adoptions. And they're telling us now that they probably don't want to release it to us until after Thanksgiving, for spring semester after Thanksgiving. So we're fighting with some folks right now, and I shouldn't say fighting, but I just don't think sometimes people at the higher up don't understand the full process that's involved to get this type of information and to roll things out. And so it does make for its challenges, but like I said, we try to plan for the worst case scenario and keep our fingers crossed that we don't have to use the worst case scenario.
Is there any benefit in sort of, what's the old phrase, asking for forgiveness, just going ahead and doing things, and you're saying to the administration, this is what I'm planning on doing, you've got a week to give me feedback, or is that just not something that works in an academic setting?
We've done that a couple of times, and if we get our wrist slap, we get our wrist slap, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. Like,
That's
you
true.
can't force the registrar to release a course listing if they don't want to. You can certainly email faculty and say, don't forget to turn in your course orders. But if they don't know what they're teaching, they can't.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on how they're doing it. But
Yeah.
yeah, putting up that we're open by appointment and then having somebody tell you, oh, no, you're not, that's okay. Or okay-ish. So
I see what you mean, yeah.
I found that in order to take advantage of opportunities that might be out there that we don't know about, I've tried to get on email chains or newsletters that are going to different groups of people. If I find out that there is such a group and there is some possible advantage, I've gotten on those lists if they'll let me. And I find out things that are useful to the store that I won't find any other way. I mean, I'm not talking about confidential things. I'm talking about, oh, somebody's planning to do something that really might impact us. Or the head of school is planning to speak about this particular book that maybe I should have in the store if she speaks about it. So
I follow a lot of Clark Facebook pages just for that reason.
yeah.
UVM has a kind of campus-wide COVID committee that's made up of people from all the different disciplines across campus and all the operational areas. And our boss, who's the university controller, is involved in all those too. So we, are very fortunate that we've gotten mostly heads up, or our particular needs have been considered in those discussions. Everything from Loomis cash pickups to FedEx and UPS deliveries being suspended across campus. It's really not a one-size-fits-all kind of solution for the university, and they've recognized that we have particular needs compared to other areas, especially on the academic side of things as well. So overall, it's been pretty smooth, but like Sandy said, communication up and down always could be better.
They were talking about limiting access to campus at the start so that the drop-offs were scheduled for the students, and parents were going to be shuttled into a specific parking lot and then told when they could go and drop their student off. And it's like, that's right across from my store. You're telling me I can't have anyone in the store, but you're parking them right across from the store. How many parents do you think are going to come in the store or try to come in the store? Maybe they just need to use the bathroom. What are the plans for that? So it's a matter of having a conversation with people you don't think need necessarily to be part of the conversation, and then you find out that they really do.
Yeah, communication for me has been really hard. I mean, I'm just a one-person store, but and my boss was the head of the COVID task force, and I was always the last to know, and he totally just dismissed anything with the store. So communication has been really frustrating. And we're a small school. And I said to him, I said, well, how many students are actually going to be on campus in the fall? He's like, oh, well, I guess that would be a good idea for you to know, and what days they might be on campus. So finally they sent me something, but it's been tough. Even getting adoptions, thinking of getting adoptions for spring. It's like pulling teeth just to meet with our liberal arts faculty or the head of the liberal arts, because I have to go through them because I can't go directly through to the faculty anymore. I have to go through them, who they then go to the faculty. It's frustrating. So hopefully it'll get better, but who knows?
I do find that making noise in a nice way helps you be more involved. I mean, if they hear you making noise about something, they're going to think about you the next time. Doesn't matter what department it is on campus. I find that almost every one of them, we have some reason to interact with for something. And so as long as they realize what you're involved with and how what they do might impact you, the only way they're going to know that in many cases is if you just bug them.
I think pre-COVID, I had better communication across campus, but since COVID, it's like, because everybody's like working from home, doing this, doing their own thing, faculty aren't even on campus. It's like the campus store is like not even thought of. And that's something that I just have to deal with, you know. So I've tried to get on committees, I've tried to do different things, but it just, I mean, they, like our communications department just did a whole thing for alumni. And they're raffling off a sweatshirt and came to me to take a picture of the sweatshirt, but didn't include me in anything other than that. It was really frustrating. So it's just tough. Anyway.
Oh, I had a department go to a vendor because they wanted to start, the department wanted to start selling product in the campus store without talking to me. And the vendor called me because, you know, we're pals. So it was like, it's just crazy. And it is communication. And I think part of what you said is true. It's because they're at home and they're not thinking about who's on campus and who isn't and what's going on and who might be around to help them or not help them or might be concerned. Are there any other questions, comments?
What are you all
I think
hearing
I'm
from any of the publishers? I know this really isn't about course materials, but I still have a few contacts, you know, back at some of the publishers. Any messages I should be sharing with them?
I'd say no. I mean, they're, not that I deal in textbooks, but
Right.
they're in the same, I was on the course materials call and it's pretty much the same wherever you go, no matter what
Same issues.
product it is. It's,
Mhm.
yeah, been the same. Well, if we're all good, I'll say thank you all for joining us. All the recorded meetings should be online on Wednesday. And hopefully you'll be able to take part if one of your user groups or the alternative revenue streams webinar tomorrow. You can register online if you want, or just shoot me an email and I'll send you the link. Either would work.
Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, Robin.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Robin.
guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Good luck.
Bye.